London is the most diverse city on the planet, and its strength comes from that. And as has just been referred to by Caroline Pidgeon, we need to all work together and act together in order to fight this curse of racism and discrimination. Because it exists in this city, it isn't just something that is a foreign problem, and we need to take action here. It makes you wonder, therefore, that if the proposers of the motion cared so much about the issue and working together, you would have thought that they would have included other parties in advance of the meeting, rather than 1 hour, 37 minutes after its start. As the other members have stated, the number of COVID deaths amongst BAME people is disproportionately high. So why don't we, as a part of our statement, as a part of this worthy statement that we're putting out, highlight the fact that it beggars belief that despite knowing what we have learned during the pandemic about the disproportionate effect on ethnic minorities of the COVID virus, and the disproportionate number of ethnic BAME people in overcrowding conditions, that we have a mayor who this very day, has refused to review his housing and planning policies in that light. Apparently, his policies anticipated the virus and need no amendment. This is clearly ridiculous, and it's clearly letting down the BAME Londoners who are disproportionately affected by overcrowding. Why, for instance, does this motion not specifically mention things that we can do? For example, the very, very slow progress there has been in the MPS and TfL in name-blind recruiting. Years on from this being raised by the Assembly, we still have a situation where virtually no name-blind recruiting takes place within TfL, and the MPS come up with excuses for not having it. Yes, we should all work together, but this motion would have been a damn sight better if you'd have incorporated all Assembly members rather than ones who you just think are your political mates. Thank you.
Right. Next one is Assembly Member Hall, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not surprised at the passion I hear from my colleague Andrew Boff, and I agree he won't be surprised with everything he said. But I am actually quite surprised about this motion. The first surprise was a rather clumsy personal dig at, let's be honest, it was me, from Assembly Member Sahota, when he proposed the motion. I don't think that was necessary, and indeed it cheapens what this is supposed to be all about. Because while I might differ in some of the language you've used on it, fundamentally it's a motion about tackling all inequalities, something COVID has really highlighted in relation to health, and ensuring fairness, tackling racism, and making sure that people have a voice. And for those, and I absolutely agree with that. So on that basis, I will absolutely be supporting the motion. I also have to say that I was a little surprised to see that the motion popped up mid-meeting. I don't recall that ever happening since I've been an Assembly member for the last 3 years. I understand from longer-serving colleagues that this was an agreement that sudden motions like this were a thing of the past. I'm thoroughly disappointed. I'm also disappointed, as mentioned by Assembly Member Boff, that other groups appeared to know nothing as well. I don't think the BAG group knew about it. It's disappointing that this is what you think is acceptable. It may be not that it was not for a long time, but Sian mentioned talking about it before we'd even had sight of it, and she did that on the WhatsApp group. We're not monsters, you can talk to us. Very often we do agree with what you're saying. We don't like your wording, but we agree with a lot of what you do. Despite what some of you think, we are not monsters. We actually feel far more than you would give us credit for. It cheapens the motion that you just fling it upon us, and keeping it from us is totally disgraceful. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Let's move on to Assembly Member Bailey, please.
Thank you, Chair. As you can see by looking down the camera, I have a very big vested interest in a motion such as this. But unfortunately, my two previous colleagues are correct, because this is a problem for the entire country, in many respects a challenge for the entire world. And one of the reasons we haven't made progress on this for hundreds of years is people playing politics. If we're serious about serving black communities in this city and in this country, we should be doing this together. Yes, there is many things that we can do as Assembly around the technicalities of law and delivery, and we can push Parliament to do. But ultimately, this is an issue of hearts and minds. This is about how people view me when I walk into a coffee shop. This is about how my son will look for a job in the future. This will be about my daughter. Will she ever feel safe? Or will she be tired, like the young woman who spoke to us in the vigil that the chair organised? She used the word tired. And today I feel tired because this is correct. It is right. Black people have been calling for this for hundreds and hundreds of years. And instead of us coming together as Assembly and landing something powerfully to add to the weight of this argument, this irresistible argument, we've done it in such a way that it's cheapened its effect. And I really want to get across to you just how live this issue is. Whilst I've been sat in Mayor's Question Time, I have received a hugely racist email. I won't bore you with the vagaries, but just to say it ends with "go back to my mud hut." Racism exists. We all know that. It exists in people's hearts, it exists in policy, it exists in institutions. And if we are to hold our heads high as a group of professional politicians, we must do this together. People are calling for change. Change is always difficult. And if we are to lead that change, we must do it together. So while I will be supporting this motion, I absolutely will, I still think it could have been done in a better way. And I hope as an Assembly, when we take this issue on, we tackle it together. Because we have something that's proposed by our mayor, which I worry will cause a tremendous amount of problems in community. And it's this thing about looking at statues and name plaques. It's great when you remove a slaver that we can all agree on. But what are we going to do when someone wants to remove one of your heroes? And they have a justifiable reason for that. You are going to see massive wedges pushed between communities. And if we behave in a way that this was launched this morning, we will be adding to that wedge. And I know all of you, I'm pretty sure you would want to do this properly and not add to the problems. So one more time, these issues are live for Londoners, have been for hundreds of years. We as an Assembly can do something historic here to ease this issue, but only if we do it together. We have to bring people with us. There's people on the other side of the argument who believe what they believe. We have to convince. The way we've done this morning would make that harder. So while I will be supporting it, please, can we not turn this into political chess? Can we please not try to attach our other political wants to this? This is a plea from the black community to do this only around solving the issues of racism for black people and not around selling other people's individual politics. Thank you, Chair.